Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just this gown? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs through the phone, dreaming of a better home, while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the Bluez let this last. I don't know if the earth is painted blue.
That was great sounds of Wata with Outside on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made, Easy Bluez is in the building. Easy, you're better at introductions more than me. Who do we have here today?
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this time to introduce to you a phenomenal human being, an absolutely incredible father, a really good person. Not only that, an incredible guitar player, and I don't know if this is even a word, I'm just going to say it, a documentarian. Is that a word? He makes documentaries, and it's absolutely amazing, and he taught himself how to make documentaries. I'm going to say it's a documentarian. Put your hands together. Well, not if you're driving. If you're driving, keep your hands at 10 and 2, because you are listening to the radio while driving. But put your hands together for Rafe Klein. What's up, brother? How you been?
Well, I'll put my hands together then. That'll help. What's up, man? I appreciate you having me on the show. Hi, Preston. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Doing good, Rafe. You've been a filmmaker for a long time. Easy tells me. He tells you some amazing things about you. What made you actually start being an independent musician?
You know, I same thing with the film. I ended up running into a guy named Charlie Karp, who was a guitar player, and it was at the point in his career where he was really focusing on students and producing, and so he became my teacher, my mentor, and I just got hooked from there, you know.
So everything was so addictive. Gotcha.
Yeah, and I think that's something that is absolutely incredible, and this is what is amazing about music and about actually being in a scene and living in a scene. When you you cannot really tell your story without telling the story of Charlie Karp. And, you know, for those who don't know, who've been living under a rock, who pay no attention to Connecticut music, Charlie Karp, phenomenal blues player, absolute. That was a documentary that you just premiered at the COVID version of the New Haven. Was it New Haven Film Festival? Was that what it was called? What was it officially called?
It's officially called NH Docs, which stands for New Haven Documentary Film Festival.
Yes.
And yeah, it was. In spite of COVID and everything, they still had some screenings, and we were lucky enough to be one of the featured screenings. They had a bunch online, which I was online as well.
Right.
We had a screening. And wasn't a lot of people there because of social distancing, but they did have a screening, and it was on Saturday night. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's incredible. And the documentary itself, because you were so close, you got this amazing point of view and a perspective. Now, what was it like to kind of teach it? Because you're just like, hey, this documentary needs to be made. I'm going to learn how to make a documentary. And you kind of like jumped apart that. And that's something I really respect about you and you as a human being, like to have that kind of drive. So, you know, what really inspired that to happen? Was this like a family thing that like, this is the way that the family always was? Like, we're going to figure it out and we're going to push forward. Or is this an internal thing that you grew into?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of very similar to my approach with music.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to learn. I wanted to get it right. Same thing with producing a song. Mm-hmm. You know, how many times do you go back and bother the producer because you're hearing this or you're hearing that, or you want to change this, change that. And a lot of times they're good improvements, and a lot of times it's just in your own head. I didn't really have a lot of experience. I had no experience with filmmaking or documentaries. I had a little bit of experience doing amateur videos. Mm-hmm. I was doing a lot of videos with the songs that we were producing, coincidentally, with Charlie. So I had some footage, you know, and I had a little bit of experience just doing that, syncing up, but nothing to the extent of what the movie was. And I think as you know, it all kind of happened after he died. There was a concert that was held in Westport at the Levitt Pavilion. And there were 60 musicians that showed up, people from all over the world, actually, some people from Germany. They got Barry Tashian to show up. Barry Tashian was in a band called The Remains. And they were out of Westport. They actually opened up for the Beatles years ago. They were a huge hometown hit in Westport. He showed up. He came in from Nashville. David Hull, his old partner, the bass player, he came in from Massachusetts. They had Roger Ball there. Roger Ball was the horn player for the Average White Guy, the average white band. He came and played that. He came and played that with the horn section. It was amazing. You know, and I'm probably leaving a lot of people out. There's so many people. Like I said, 60 musicians came. It was a wonderful show. Great night. It was supposed to rain, but it held out. And so we had some really good footage. So after that, I thought that we should document it. And at least make, I don't know, a 10-minute, 15-minute video or something just showing that. Right. And then it kind of came down to the idea that I wanted to make a documentary on Charlie. Not so much a concert. The concert was certainly the motivation of it, and it was based around the concert. But it was I wanted to tell a story, and it was a you know, starting when he was 16 years old, he got recruited, and next thing you know, he's opening up for Jimi Hendrix, playing the Buddy Miles band. Right. Then Jimi Hendrix dies, and they're playing at his funeral. And he idolized Jimi Hendrix. Imagine he played at Jimi Hendrix's funeral. And, you know, what I thought was really interesting about Given It All I Got, the Charlie Karp story, is I got a chance to interview David Hull about the funeral. And when I look at the pictures from the funeral, everybody's dead. Yeah. Obviously Jimmy, but he wasn't in the picture. But Buddy's dead. Jimmy's dead. Johnny Winter was there. He's dead. Miles Davis was a big guy. He's dead. So I had one of the only guys that's still alive to tell the story on Jimmy's funeral, which was in October of 1970. And so then those guys came back, and then they formed White Chocolate, Dirty Angels, and they were you know, Connecticut staple. And Charlie would hang out with guys like Keith Richards and guys like Steven Tyler. They used to open up for Aerosmith. Right. And so it was a great story. And I tried to combine it all into 60 minutes.
That's always one of the toughest parts is, you know, you look at these amazing lives, and really even in the most inconsequential moments could change so much. You and I were just at the New England Music Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And just by talking with people and, you know, bonding with people, you start to see there is this amazing familyness, especially, I'll say, more in like the blues world than say in more of the rock aspect, where it's still a little bit more competitive due to how venues market people, let's be honest. You know, but there is this amazing family that's there. And as you're talking about this, I'm reminded there was a movie, I think, with Al Pacino, and there's a line in there that states, you know, a man dies twice. He dies his actual death, and he dies when the last person who was alive to tell his story dies. And, you know, by you creating this documentary and putting it up on YouTube, and you really helped your teacher, you know, live through immortality. And I think that is such an amazing tribute. And I just want to thank you for that. And I don't want to overstep my bounds here, but I kind of want to thank you for that legacy, for Charlie Karp's legacy, for doing that. Like, you made him immortal, and that's amazing. And I just give yourself the real credit for that, man, because that's
right.
So.
All right. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you saying that. Yeah. I mean, keeping his legacy alive by telling his story. Yeah, for sure. And, you know, he deserved it. He had some really good music, and you know, he showed me the way. So I owe him.
Being all that time with Charlie, how much stuff you had to cut out the film? It had to be
Oh,
very.
Oh yeah, there's a lot. There was
Yeah.
a lot. There was a lot. There were a lot of different people involved, and a lot of people felt that this is more important than that, and that's natural. And it's tough, man. It's really tough to figure out what not to say and what to say, and certainly left a lot of really interesting stories out. But we highlighted them. I was able to work with. You asked me before, how did I try to get back to how did I go from doing these little stupid lyric videos or sometimes motion video, but amateurish videos to doing this? And the answer is I got to work with some good artists and not so much editors. You're right. I did kind of learn all that stuff as I went.
That's how I went on. Yeah.
But I worked with an art director that also was Charlie's really good friend for 30 years. And he did the artwork for a lot of Charlie's records. So not only did he give me a really good perspective on what he thought looked good, what didn't look good, but also he knew the guy really, really well for 30 years and helped. And he was kind of the guy that said, I said, well, what about this? What if we talk about this? And he said, no, it's not, it's a great story, but it's not relevant to exactly what we're trying to do. So he kind of helped me with that. He helped me with a lot of stuff. Brian Keane was also sort of a co-producer. Originally. Brian has a lot of experience with documentaries. He's got a huge sound library and a deal with Disney. And I'm not sure exactly who else, but ESPN. He works with Rick Burns. He just did a film called Driving While Black just recently. Ronnie Long, guitar player from New Haven, did some work on that. So I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from artists. I learned a lot from camera people, graphic designers. And when it came down to it, at the end, once we did it, I realized that the sound wasn't so good. I mean, I was taking clips from the concert and then matching it up with a clip from my phone. And so it wasn't very consistent. And a couple of the film festivals that were submitted to mentioned that. So I ended up getting introduced. Well, I knew Rob Fraboni. Rob Fraboni was a sound engineer, and he did a lot of production on The Last Waltz. I love The Last Waltz, one of the best music rock documentaries in the world, right?
What?
Yeah.
What? That's amazing.
He did the soundtrack for The Last Waltz. His name is Rob Fraboni. He lives in Weston. And when he found out that I needed a sound engineer and he found out about this project, that's another thing. I didn't have a budget for this project.
Right.
It wasn't a no budget. It wasn't a low budget. It was a no budget. I didn't have a budget. So none of the musicians that I interviewed, which included Joe Perry from Aerosmith, Christine Ullman from the Saturday Night Live band, Blondie Chaplin from the Beach Boys, Danny Korchmar, who produced Billy Joel, and was also the guy with James Taylor. None of these guys got paid. So Rob agreed to do the sound and did it for free. And he really just made it, he gave it that oomph, that put it over the hump. So a couple of the film festivals, like you were saying, NH and there was another film festival called the Tryon International Film Festival, which is in North Carolina. And so those are the only two that we submitted to, and they were in.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's funny how a no budget came into, finding out what you really want to do in life. It's really amazing that's how that story processes. Do you have any other projects you were going to do for 2021 when it comes to film, mostly, or no?
Well, we're releasing some videos.
Okay.
I'm in a band called the Name Droppers, and we have a video that's out right now called My Blue Guitar, which I directed that video, which is a pretty interesting video. It's a song about Bobby T. Torello, who's the drummer, who's also a member of the New England Music Hall of Fame, you were just mentioning. And it's a story with a little fiction involved about Bobby T back in the day when he met some girl at a bar and she stole his blue guitar. And
oh my God.
And so a lot of people like that video. That's out right now. And we're also making some videos for the new release that we have coming up with Carol Sylvan. That's coming up soon.
I think that's absolutely incredible. And I love the fact that you guys are called the name droppers. And for all those who are playing the home game at home, the amount of names that were just dropped from the minute we went on air until right now, it's just absolutely amazing. It's just so cool. And it really does show, because a lot of the people that you're talking about, are actual residents of Connecticut. And Connecticut, from a music point of view, always seems to be overlooked because we're sandwiched in between, Boston and New York City. And we're just like, yeah, that's where people go and sleep it off. Like that's, but you have people, Keith Richards is out here. You have people who are, John Mayer is from here, I mean, and I think even Paul Simon with his wife from 10,000 Maniacs, I forgot her name because I totally blanked because I'm reading words on screens while I'm trying to have a conversation. You make it so difficult.
Eddie Brickell?
Yeah, I believe they live out in Connecticut as well. But on top of that, here you're talking about, Charlie Karp, who, played at Jimi Hendrix's funeral. These are stories that people forget about because we get lost in the shuffle. Myself and Preston sat with New Haven's mayor, Justin Elliker, and we confronted him on it. We're like, hey, I personally feel the only difference between the Austin music scene and the New Haven music scene is the city of Austin is behind the Austin music scene, and then the city of New Haven doesn't care about the New Haven music scene.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very good point. It's a very good point. And I want to add to what you were just saying. I think it may be changing. That perspective is we're kind of ignored. There's Boston and then there's New York and there's nothing in between. And I think that's changing because we're starting to see some new, bigger venues that are looking to bring in some bigger acts. For instance, the Lethville Ball, I noticed that the Tedeschi Trucks Band is going to be there and Government Mule is going to be there. There's also the Acoustic in Bridgeport. Now, some new owners have recently taken over the Acoustic and they're taking over the barbershop next door. And they're making it music friendly, green room friendly, a lot bigger. So what they're looking to do is they're looking to attract national acts between Boston and New York. That new amphitheater in Bridgeport looks amazing. I drive by it all the time. I can't wait to see what kind of acts are coming there. And I'm leaving a few out. I think maybe one or two that's new, or there are some plans to do something in Stratford. So it would be really nice to see that. Well, it is. We're seeing it happen. And as far as Connecticut,
we're also seeing you, man, on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made EZ Blues. Ralph Klein is here on Behind the Brand. Go right ahead, sir. Didn't mean to interrupt.
I love that intro, man.
Thank you.
I love that intro. Elm City, Long Island Rays, Elm City.
Elm City made. Well, not to, we'll talk my story later, but this is about you.
Absolutely.
But that's what people don't seem to understand, and I say this on pretty much every single musician that comes on the show. And in fact, we had Cheshki Ramos on here before, and he was talking about artists from California love to come out to New Haven to perform because the audience is there. There's a hunger there. You play a venue like Cafe 9, as I salute your band and name droppers and I drop a name, you play a venue like Cafe 9 and it's one of the few places you can go and people are going to listen. A lot of the times when bands are playing venues, they are the soundtrack for people drinking. But like Cafe 9, there are like people who are interested in music, who go to Cafe 9 to see music played. And at one point, they were having it pre-COVID, where there was music going on every single night, and it was something different. And it's incredible to see, and it's incredible to be a part of. Phenomenal connections. Due to that, we have this show. Due to that, you're able to come on this show. And it's incredible. Now, what was it like working with another mutual friend of ours, Richard Demko and Neurotronics?
I can't say enough good things about Rick Demko. First of all, what people may not know about Rick Demko is that he's a really wonderful musician. He plays multi-instruments. He's very talented. I've heard him play a few things. And he's a good producer. And I think that recently he decided that he wanted to be more involved in the promotion side.
Mm-hmm.
And he's really good at it. And he's really organized. And he's got some good connections. And he gets artists up on billboards on I-95. I don't know how he does that. And he's a really good guy to work with. I would recommend him for any artist that is looking to improve their spins on Spotify, or get more recognition, or improve their website, or get a website.
Right.
These things are really important, and he seems to understand a lot of that. And so the artist services thing that he offers,
right,
is really it's great for me. I take advantage of it. I think it's attractive for any not just up and coming musician. If you've been around for a long time, he can help you, keep your brand out there.
And that's something where I always on the show, I'm saying, okay, for the listeners at home, this is the time where you want to pull out that pen and that piece of paper. Just being able to write a song is already a massive accomplishment. Let's be real. If you can perform that song live, that's even another accomplishment. But as I've pointed out to many people, I have 1,000-something incredible songs on my phone that no one's ever going to hear because it's not marketed right. Marketing is extremely important. If you want to do this and you want to reach the most amount of people, I'm not even saying from a money point of view. I'm saying, hey, I just went through this emotional thing and I've created this piece of art from that emotional moment. And I want to share that with other people because I know they're probably going to be going through the same thing. And hopefully this helps them get through to that next level. Just like Dream On helped me get through. Or, what was that? That Rafe song that helped you get through. Baby Beluga helped Preston get through some things. Different type. He's so mad at me right now. He's like, "You're so lucky my audio's cutting out." Marketing is important. And we've also have the mutual friend Vic Steffens from Horizon Studios, and he says it all the time when he sits down with you the first time. He's like, "Hey, we're gonna make great music. But I don't just want to make great music. I want great music that is going to be able to be out for people. So please, when you're doing this, make sure you're budgeting enough for marketing as well." And I think that is a lesson that really needs to be taught to musicians and artists moving forward on how important it is, yes, to practice your scales, but also practice your time on social media, and also practice this and practice that, and make sure you're hitting up with the right connections. Again, this is a business that is a little bit carny, and there are going to be people that are going to railroad you. I mean, there's 1.5 million. If the people scrolling on Facebook right now are passing 19 different, hey, increase your Spotify views. None of those work. What works is actual marketing, actually going through and say, hey, this person is pitching this song to these playlists. And it's not because you're getting $1 million off of your streams, because you're not. You're getting 0.006 cents of a penny for every stream that happens,
which is an issue of its own. But
exactly. But it's people. Those streams to me are more important than the 0.006 percent of a penny, because that's a person that's listening. That's a person that's connecting, and hopefully the art is good. But it's so important to market. And as someone who has done the bar scene, as someone who has done multiple projects, where is marketing in the value aspect for you?
You know, I think it's very important. And I think a lot of people, especially now with music being online and nobody making any money off things like Spotify, you'll have certain people who will say, well, I don't even really know if Spotify is very important. What do I care if my artist has somebody that's streaming in Minnesota when we're not going to go to Minnesota and it's not going to do any good. It's not going to get any gigs. It's not going to lead to anything. Certainly streaming is nothing going to do anything monetarily. Where other people may say, hey, you want to go on tour, you want to get as many Spotify followers as you possibly can, because while you might not go on tour in that area, while you might not make a lot of money, it might be the first thing that a booking agent looks at when they find out about your band. In fact, it probably is the first thing that they see. How many people follow you? How many people are listening? Whether it's real or not, it's a fancy business card. So some of those things could pay off. But yeah, you got to find the right person. You find somebody online and they want $1,500 for something, you know, who knows if it's worth it. So there are some guys out there like Rick that could give it to you straight and tell you, you know, and I think you'd have an idea of what it is, if it costs you anything, and what you would be paying for.
Right. That's awesome.
Over 7,000 listeners. That's amazing, though. For a person at your stature, over 7,000 listeners on Spotify, that's not bad at all. That's something to be really proud of.
You see what I'm talking about? Okay.
Well, he's
Thanks,
the
man.
actual news person here. I'm just here to look cute and tell jokes.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for saying so, Preston.
Yeah. Well, and it's amazing too, because you also then have to break down the genre, and you have to look at, you know, what the genre appeals to. And, you know, that's what I really, and we're going to get more into this in the next segment. But that's the new project, which we're going to shush until the next segment. But this new project, I've listened to the whole thing, and it resounds on almost every single level. If you cannot feel this new project, you might be dead. And I'm not like, that's not even like, you can quote me on that, put it in the advertising for the thing, put it in the promotion. This is a news program. So like, hey, Easy Blues said, if you cannot feel this record, you're dead. I'm sure it'll sell. Right. Yeah, you may be dead. I'm sure that on that alone, people are going to listen. But it's so true, because when you're so in tune to the moment, you know, when you're so just on, and, you know, I've been in studio sessions where you couldn't feel anything, and it's just best to pack it up and go home, have a cry, kick the dog, cry in the cat's fur, and go about your day. And I'm quoting my ex-football coach, who was just mean to everybody. But, you know, and then there's all those other moments where, oh my goodness, it's been 8 hours at Horizon. I can't even believe it's been 8 hours here. I didn't even know that happened. I feel like we just played a 3-minute solo. How important is trying to catch that lightning in a bottle? You know, that perfect moment when it comes to the actual recording process.
Yeah, it's very important to have that feeling, you know, when you can look over at the producer and they're nodding their head like, okay, that was it. And the musicians kind of know it at the same time. And so there's a difference between, you know, an okay, decent take or session, or not. You know, I think a lot of the things that I do, that we do at Vix, is, let's say I'll do a vocal, and it could be a scratch vocal, or maybe it can even be a vocal, and then we end up adding certain instruments, and then I realize that you have to sing up to it, so you have to then go back and redo the vocals or redo something. But I've also learned to try not to overdo it. You don't want to overproduce something either. And I've learned that from watching people overproduce. Then I think, you know, I remember for Charlie Carp, for instance, I'm like, oh, you know, leave this part, you know, it's fine. Let's just move on. You know, looking at my watch, and I'm looking around, and I'm, you know, getting nervous. But then afterwards, I'm like, wow, you know, I'm glad that really made a difference. But sometimes there is that overproduction. Sometimes, fall back and punt, take another listen to it. It's not, most of the time, it's not going to be the final mix.
Yeah. And that is so important, and it's good to be able to remove yourself. And that's why having a producer is so important. I have no idea how artists self-produce themselves. I couldn't do it. I'm just like, I just want to be done with this. Just leave me alone. I'm gonna curl up in a ball now. But it's so amazing to have that other point of view, to have that other perspective. And it does. I mean, working with Vic, you kind of have that. I'm just trying to please Papa moment too. When Vic goes, all right, that was okay. You're like, oh, he said it was okay. I'm gonna go inside now. But it's such an incredible feeling. And then when he jumps over things, and when he's like, yo, that was perfect. Maybe it was too perfect. Maybe you want to go back and play it a little less perfect because it's a rock song and you shouldn't be that precise. And we're like, oh, I'm sorry, my bad. We're gonna go be bad now, and it'll be worse in this next take. It'll be fine. It's that feeling aspect that's so important. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've seen him say that. You're thinking too much. Don't think. Just do it. If it's too perfect, you thought about it, you planned it. But yeah, going back to what you said about how important it is to have a producer or a songwriting partner, somebody to actually say, that's cool, or I don't know, that you need that feedback, because a lot of times you don't really know. You wrote it because you think it's great, but there could be fine tuning to it. Mm-hmm. So having a partner or a producer that's along with you, whether it's not even on the songwriting process, but just having a producer on the whole thing just helps so much. A producer is not just somebody that knows how to operate Pro Tools and put it online. A producer hears things. A producer decides which musicians should be or shouldn't be, and has access to a wide variety of musicians and contacts. And so I can't agree with you more. It's very important to do that.
Now, you actually you gave us 2 tracks to play. Now we're going to talk to our producer, Harry. Which 2 tracks did you give us again? I know you gave us a Carol track. What was the other track you gave us? I don't have it in front of me because I'm at work.
I gave you, was it Are You Lonely?
I believe so. Yeah.
Is that what it was? Okay. Mm-hmm. So that's a song. That's a fairly new song. It was not on the Name Droppers record. Mm-hmm. And it's a song that Bobby T wrote while we were writing My Blue Guitar and some other blues rock kind of things. And so I had some ideas on the bridge a little bit, but it was mostly his song. And we went in there and we did it. Scott Spray played bass, obviously. Bobby T played drums. Mm-hmm. And then I sang it. And we put Joe Mayo on, horn player. And then at one point we were able to get Carol to come in and do some backup vocals on it. So Carol's on it as well. I think I'm pretty sure that's the one that.
Yep. And I think we're going to be playing that right now. So everyone enjoy.
Are you lonely? Are you lonely like me? Are you lonely? Are you lonely like me? I realize he's got a lot to offer. This I can't deny. If I told you I could give you more, wouldn't be no lie. I can give you. If you give me one more chance, I'll prove my love is true. I'm lying here all day. I'm staring at my phone. Another night without you. I feel so all alone. Are you lonely? Are you lonely like me? For you, just give me a chance. I'll prove my love is true. I'm lying awake at night. I'm lying here at home. Another day without you. I feel so all alone. Are you lonely? Are you lonely? Are you lonely?
That actually was awesome. That was the Name Droppers. Are You Lonely here on WNHH 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Easy Blues, and the silent but not violent because his audio is just not working today. My brother, I love him from another mother, Preston Wilson. You know him as Prestige. I love this man, and don't ever apologize. We're having a grand old time. I absolutely love the fact, Rafe, that you are so true to that style. A lot of this becomes lost, or some people will say it's niche or different things like that, but it's real. And if you did not tell me Bobby T wrote that song after finally meeting him at the New England Music Hall of Fame induction ceremony, or like seeing the My Blue Guitar video, he's got that raspy type of voice. So I literally heard his phrasing, and I love the fact that you kind of pay tribute to that in your vocal style, because you actually have a little bit of a smoother style too in there. So I think it's awesome, man. It was a great track.
Yeah, Bobby and I kind of have this thing where we like to sing each other's songs, or we want them, each other to sing our songs, that kind of thing. Hey, you sing this one. This would be good for you, that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's awesome because it's also something that I think is now lost in today's music world. Like going back, there was an incredible documentary on National Geographic about, I think it was National Geographic, about Aretha Franklin. And that started getting me to jump through the crates of looking at older Aretha Franklin stuff. And, on some of those records, you have like Eleanor Rigby. You have her version of songs of that day. And you can continue to go back. And now that seems to be lost. Other bands are not playing other musicians' music because whether they're so caught up in ego or they're so worried about the dollar. But the fact that you can counterplay this, because you might have a track that, say someone like, and I know you don't sing, but I'm going to use you anyway, Preston. Preston might be able to sing it a little bit different or add a little bit different swag on it, which now takes a whole nother meaning. And I think that's lost today. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, maybe. I think there's some of it out there. I think it is very important. And it's really good to be able to have different singers in our band. I mean, even Ron Rifkin, we were talking about having him sing live on one of our tracks, because he's a great singer, and not live, sing lead, and he sings lead when we do a lot of live shows. So it's great to say, come up with a song, say, oh, this might be good for Bobby or Carol even. I love writing songs for Carol Silver, which we'll talk about in a moment.
we're now in that segment, and
wow! How about
you
that
just
for a
totally
segue?
that was such a great segue. I feel like I'm on like a little thing now. I gotta just roll up there. But now this is something that I actually became aware of due to you. We just recently had him on the show, Kenny Mercer, from Full Blast Booking, and the Name Droppers played last summer or early fall. In Bridgeport, outdoor festival for mental health.
Right.
And that was kind of the first time I had heard of Carol being in the forefront. Now, what made that transition happen? Because Carol Sylvan, for those who don't know, please Google it right now. She's got an amazing story, an amazing history of being in music, but never really being in the forefront. And I think that's a crime because, like I said before, I have heard the record, and if you cannot feel this record, you are quite possibly dead. So, you know, what was it? What did it take to encourage her to step up front?
Not much. You know, she's in my mind, she's always a front lady when we played with her, and we've been playing with her. I've been writing songs for her and performing with her for, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years now.
Right.
So, but you're right. This probably is the first actual album that she's put out with her as a vocalist and her as an artist. She's performed in acts like C&C Music Factory and recorded with bands like the Fatback Band, and you know, she's got really wonderful credentials and people that she's worked with. So this will be the first, you know, a full feature album where she is out front and center.
Right.
And like I said, we've been writing songs for her for a while. One of the first songs that we wrote for her was a song called Love to Love, which was, it's funny you said Aretha. It was a kind of a song where I kind of had a Aretha thing. And it was great for her. And we did that years ago. So I guess the thought was, when we did Charlie's final record, she was the background vocalist on it. And the thought was that we were going to do a record for her.
Right.
In fact, Charlie was a guitar player on I Still Love You Anyway, and he wanted her to sing that song. So it was a plan. It was something that we were planning on doing. And so we weren't playing out a lot. And because of COVID, anytime you heard about the Name Droppers, it was just kind of the four of us. And if we did play, or if we got together and did some kind of video. So when she came and we did that concert in the fall, it wasn't anything new, but it was kind of like bringing her back into the mix. And I mentioned, you know, I remember saying, you know, you guys don't know, there is a fifth name dropper, and her name is Carol Sylvan. And so whether she's officially a fifth name dropper, it does seem like they are kind of two separate projects. The music is separate genres, even though the Name Droppers are the backing band for Carol's record. But either way, it's all family. You know, I love working with her. I love having her sing back up on Name Dropper songs, like one of the ones that you just heard.
She really is just a phenomenal talent, and she really has such a great energy to her. And yeah, whether it is in the backup or it is in the forefront, you know, she is a voice to be reckoned with. When Preston and I had an older show on a different network, we had this artist called Stout, who was also she was a gospel artist initially, Denise Renee. And she's, you know, is like a professional backup singer, but her solo stuff and where she takes the forefront was just blowing your mind amazing. And I get that same type of vibe and energy from listening to Carol's stuff. I unfortunately have not had the privilege of meeting her yet. I do know that's coming down the pipeline at some point in time. We know way too many of the same people. But you know, I feel like from listening to the record and from talking with Demko and talking with you and Vic about it, I feel like this is someone I already know. And I do feel when we hit a form in music where there is over-processed, over-produced, and oversaturated, we start to lose the artist and lose the personal connection with the artist. It's one of the reasons why we have this show, is to establish that personal connection with the listener at home, so that when they back you as a person, they will back the art you create. And I think that is going to show tremendously in the Carol project. Carol as a human being, as a person, is from what I've heard and from the feeling I feel listening to the record, I really have that connection. And I think it's amazing. So, and we're actually gonna play her song right now.
I could be sad and cry, and my brother would wonder why. You don't realize I understand what it meant when you pushed away my hand. My hand.
It was January 2019 when Charlie and Rafe asked me to come up and do I Still Love You Anyway. Charlie wrote the song for Buddy Miles, and I thought, wow, that was deep in itself. I love Buddy Miles. I loved his energy. He was always hopping and popping. That West Coast vibe was happening. He's a legend, you know, and to redo one of his songs, to me, it's like trying to do a Aretha tune, you know. Some things you just like, you gotta build up your confidence.
I still love you anyway, but it's no use without you, baby.
The lyrics itself are so plaintive and so emotional. You know, like this person is really like, regardless of how you did, how you treated me or whatever, I still love you anyway. Regardless, I don't care. I still do. I still want to be somewhere in your life, some part of your life.
What do you want from me? I told you 1,000 times I've nothing left to give. What do you like to see? Nothing, so please leave me and let me live. 'Cause I could be sad and cry, and my brother will wonder why. You don't realize I understand what it meant when you took away my hand, my hand. I still love you anyway, oh, but it's no use.
Now, Rafe, unfortunately, I know I kind of felt it too. Unfortunately, we are coming to the end of our time together here on 103.5 FM WNHH New Haven. But this is the time where we're going to give you 100% the floor. Please promote where people can find you, your social media. Are you venturing out to direct videos and promo stuff for other people? If so, hey, I have this band, Shane Penguin. We're looking to do some promo for a record coming up. Maybe we could talk. But besides that, let the people know where they can get in touch with you, and you know, obviously promote when this amazing Carol record drops.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah. I mean, I've got a video production company called Bridgeport Blues Filmworks, and that's what did the movie. And I'm always looking and available for interesting, cool music video productions and projects. So the way you can get in touch with me and you can hear about the music is if you go to thenamedroppers.net, www.thenamedroppers.net. You can hear the music, you can hear about some of the stuff, you can find out how to contact me. You can also go to Carol's website, which is www.carolsylvan, CarolESYLVAN.com. And we do have a show that's coming up. The record will be released in May, and we have a show coming up, coincidentally, in New Haven. It's actually not New Haven. It's actually in Woodbridge, 10 Selden, but for all intents and purposes, it's pretty much New Haven. It's right on the other side of Whaley Ave. They have an outdoor concert series called 10 Selden, started this weekend, Friday and Saturday night. So they have a really cool outdoor stage with lighting outside, and there's going to be food and beverages catered, or not catered, but waitress services available through a restaurant called Woodbridge Social. That's going to be May 29th. May 29th, that's Saturday, May 29th at 10 Selden. And I assume there's going to be a link. It hasn't been announced yet. You can also check us out on the Name Droppers Facebook. That's just the Name Droppers. And we'll put our stuff on there. And that's it. Other than that, go to Horizon Studio in Campbell Avenue in West Haven, and you'll see me. I'll be hanging out.
Yeah. But it has been an absolute honor and a privilege. And I look forward to, now that things are starting to open up a little more, I look forward to sit down with you and having many, many more conversations moving forward. You're a great story, and you're a great link in the lineage of CT music and just music in general. And thank you for everything you do, and continue to knock it out of the park. But for myself and Prestige, as he likes to call himself, Prestige is Wilson. We are behind and WH5 FM. Thank you guys so much, and Rafe, thank you for
having me
with us.
It's been a pleasure.
All right.
Great show. Thanks, guys.
Love you, brother. All right.
I was touring with this rock and blues star when I met her in a hotel bar. It was 2:30, and before the night was through, she stole my blue guitar. The night became so bizarre when she leaned in and she lit my cigar. Then she told me I was cute. She didn't want my loot, just my blue guitar. Well, she stole my blue guitar last night. Yeah, and I'll be drinking from the mini bar tonight. I'm hoping that my only blues guitar's alright. Alright. Oh yeah, my blue guitar. She said, I like you just the way you are. Then she let me call her honey. She didn't take my money, just my blue guitar. Her personality was way on the par. Her face looked pretty good from afar, but she was far from good, and she told me that she would. She stole my blue guitar.